This is going to be really honest. Hey guys, it's Jordan. Welcome back to another video. It's been a while since I did a video where I'm just sitting down and we're having a little chit chat. Feel free to grab a drink, get cozy. I wanted to share just like a life update, just kind of talk about my feelings. I did ask on Instagram stories, I asked if anybody had any specific questions that they definitely wanted me to answer today. I've organized the questions into categories. So we'll start with some questions about health, then we'll move on to nursing and life updates. The first question is, how's life with your updated eating style? All love, no hate, which is so sweet. The question is referring to how I changed my diet about 2 years ago. If you've been following my channel a long time, you know that I was vegan for a long time, plant-based for a long time, and I reintroduced animal products back into my diet. So basically, my diet now is undefined. It's really based in anti-inflammatory diet research, modeled a lot after the Mediterranean style diet. That's why those are a lot of the what I eat in a day video themes that you guys see on my channel. I don't exclude truly anything. The things that I steer clear of are things like simple sugars, processed foods, but am I dogmatic about them and never ever have them? No. I do occasionally enjoy them. It's just, they don't make me feel good. So what I love about my eating style now is that I'm free to be inspired by whatever I want, and I'm not held back by the limitations of what I've defined my diet as. For a while, I'm really inspired by like paleo recipes. I can like go all in on that. And then like right now, I'm really inspired by homesteading and, you know, making things from scratch. And I ordered like 3-pound bags of flour to make a sourdough starter, you know, which would not be paleo. But I'm just free to like kind of go off on any tangent I want to with food and with cooking because I haven't limited myself. And I think it's taken away a lot of stress from my life. I don't think I realized how much stress I was putting on myself to fit in a box with my diet and stick to certain rules. And so I think it's made me relax a lot. My long way of saying my updated eating style is going great. Sally has joined us. Hey, Sally. Next question, diet for PCOS. I'm assuming this question is kind of asking like what the best diet is for PCOS. And I've done some videos in the past, obviously, about PCOS. I've been told I have PCOS, although I don't think I've ever shared this on this channel. I am still uncertain if that's my correct diagnosis. Based on some blood work I've had, I think I lean more towards HA or hypothalamic amenorrhea. I'm still kind of concerned about maybe some thyroid things going on. I'm not 100% sure why I have the symptoms that I do. And the main things that I struggle with are irregular cycles, very long cycles, typically in ovulatory cycles, sometimes some hair loss. My acne is pretty much totally gone, so I really don't have any of the androgen-like symptoms. I have a lot of stress in my life, which I've certainly talked about, and I truly deep down think that my stress is, and a lot of like even subconscious stress, is what causes my symptoms. Don't 100% think I can say it's PCOS or whatever it might be, because actually in my blood work doesn't really align with like the classic PCOS blood work. All that to say, before you go and start a diet for PCOS, please make sure you have the right diagnosis, because especially in the case of if you don't know if it's hypothalamic amenorrhea or PCOS, the diets and the lifestyle modifications for those two things are the complete opposite. So you really need to make sure that PCOS is your right diagnosis before diving into a dietary change. That's going to be the case for as answering this question for diet. You guys know I can't just give like blanket advice. I have to like have all my disclaimers and give true, good advice that would not harm someone. If you and your healthcare provider are confident that you have classic PCOS with the root cause being insulin resistance, then the best diet is going to be to eliminate sugar and eliminate processed foods that would essentially break down into sugar when you eat them. So white flour, cookies, candies, sweetened drinks. All of those things need to be eliminated because they're making insulin resistance worse. And then the insulin resistance creates the cascade of the other symptoms that happen in PCOS. What you do want to enjoy is a whole foods type of diet. It could be plant-based. It can include animal foods. From there, it's really like your preferences, as long as it's whole, real foods. And you can go back and watch any of my What I Eat in a Day videos. They're all going to align pretty much with a whole foods, fiber rich, no processed sugar type of diet. So if you need inspiration, definitely check those out. One thing that you can do as far as your meals is start your day with a lower carbohydrate meal. So focus on protein, healthy fat, some source of fiber, and some source of produce like vegetables or fruit. You don't need to cut out carbohydrates completely. There are good whole real food sources of carbohydrates like potatoes and squash and beans, lentils, legumes. I think it's important to include some of those foods, especially later in the day, like for dinner, including a serving of rice or a serving of potatoes. Those carbohydrates help us release serotonin in the brain, which is our feel-good hormone, calms the nervous system, and helps us sleep better, and we feel a lot more satisfied. So just having balanced meals that include, again, protein, a fat, some source of fiber and produce. And if you want to have a serving of a carbohydrate, as long as it's a whole food, that's totally fine. And it's actually really good for you to do. I highly recommend this book, The Period Repair Manual, if you have any type of period problem. It's common to have cramps, to have irregular bleeding, to have heavy bleeding, to have no bleeding, to wonder about your options with birth control and hormones, mood problems and PMS. Those things are all common. They're not normal. So we need to stop normalizing these things that plague women, and we need to start coming up with better solutions. And that's why I love this book so much, and it definitely has an entire chapter dedicated to PCOS. I'll leave a link to it in my description below, but it is The Period Repair Manual by Laura Bryden. She's a naturopathic doctor, and I think this book is great. I love this question. How to accept your body and your mental health postpartum. I've never experienced postpartum. I've never had children, never been pregnant. So I can't say that I can speak to what that feels like. I feel like I know that there are many more layers to being postpartum and trying to accept your body and mental health than just regular body acceptance and mental health. Like postpartum, having a newborn or having just gone through a pregnancy adds a whole other host of emotions and layers to that process. So I won't begin to assume that I know what that experience is like, but as a future provider, conversations that I would have with postpartum women would be, to really dive into what's behind those feelings. Is it truly like a body image issue? Is it isolation? Is it depression? Is it anxiety? Like, we need to peel back the layers of what the irrational thoughts are so that we can, come up with a solution. I love health coaching so much. It kind of get to the underlying cognitive distortion or irrational thought, and then we kind of move it forward from there. I'll give an example for me. So I noticed recently, and certainly in my past, sometimes where I get really, really, really down and low confidence in my body or just in my abilities to human. I've noticed a big trigger for me, and honestly probably the root cause of why I'm feeling that way is because subconsciously I'm comparing myself to other people. And so what I have finally done when I start experiencing that is I do a social media audit, or I get off social media for like a week. It has been so freeing to do like an entire week off of Instagram, where I literally just delete the app and I stop looking at it. So for you, it might be Facebook, maybe TikTok. One of the big reasons why we get so down on ourselves is because subconsciously or unknowingly, we are comparing ourselves to others that we're scrolling through and seeing. And especially for moms, I think, you know, there are some amazing, amazing social media accounts for moms that can be very helpful. I think there are some that are less than helpful. I guess what I would ask is that you do an audit of your day and where you're spending your energy. How much time are you spending scrolling, looking through other people's accounts? And you know, maybe you only spent 1.5 seconds looking at that picture or that post or that story, but what is left spinning in your head is that I'm not like her. Oh, she did that today, I didn't do that today. Or, oh, she wears her pants like that. Or, oh, she's 6 months postpartum and looks like that. Those things are just happening in our head. So I would really force you to stop when you're scrolling and say, what messages am I sending myself when I'm looking at this picture right now, or I'm looking at this video? Is this video or this person even bringing me value right now? Am I learning something? Am I being creative? Is my life getting better because I'm looking at this? If the answer is no, unfollow. That's kind of my guiding principle. If I'm not learning anything, if I'm not getting value, if it's not making me laugh, if it's not making me smile, bye. I don't need it. Maybe that's really harsh, I don't know. But I've just learned in life that I've got to be a lot more harsh with what I put my energy into. As a side effect of that, my confidence has gone up a lot. Of course, you can do things like, you know, positive affirmations and gratitude and journaling and, you know, listening to confidence meditations and things like that. Like, those are all beautiful, amazing things. But I really think that taking a look at the comparisons that you're making on a daily basis is a really great place to start. Is it going to solve everything? Probably not. I think you need to rule that out first. I hope that was helpful. Next question, this is a quickie. When do you stop being contagious after having a cold? Oh, that's a great question. So with colds, the common cold, most contagious, well, this would be true with the flu too. So flu and the common cold. You're most contagious on days 2 and 3. And you probably noticed that's when your symptoms are the worst, is that like day 2 and 3 of the cold. The first day you're like, oh no. And then day 2 and 3, you're like dead. So yeah, those are the days you're most contagious. When do you stop being contagious? A virus can last, it's self-limiting. That's what we call it, you know, in the healthcare world. It's self-limiting, meaning you don't need antibiotics. It will end on its own. It will correct itself. That's what self-limiting means. The body will eventually fight it and it will go away. Viruses can last anywhere from 7 days to 14 days, so 1 to 2 weeks. So you technically can be contagious up to 2 weeks. You can have post-viral symptoms with a cold, which I think is probably maybe why this question was asked, because it can seem like it goes on and on forever. The most common is to have postnasal drip and you get a cough that lasts and lasts and lasts and lasts. So that doesn't necessarily mean you still have the virus. The virus is probably long gone. It's just you still have the postnasal drip because your immune system is still sending the signal to create mucus and discharge in your nose, and it's dripping back into your throat and causing the cough reflex. I hope that was helpful. I did want to say though that there's really, really, really good evidence for black elderberry syrup to decrease the amount of time that you have a cold. It can decrease the amount of time you have the cold up to 4 days. So black elderberry syrup. I'll leave a link for it down below. The last health question. What about non-food, such as clean, healthy laundry, makeup, and cleaning supplies? Such a great question, and something I'm not perfect at and I'm getting more and more into. This is what I use for cleaning. I use Branch Basics. This is their cleaning concentrate. So you buy this huge bottle, which I've had this, I think now, over a year, even 2 years, I'm not sure. And I'm just now down, like I'm right here at the end of the bottle. But it's a clean concentrate that you basically mix with water to make all your cleaning supplies. You can make an all-purpose cleaner, which is what I have here. I use this spray all-purpose cleaner to clean my countertops, clean like basically everything in my kitchen. And then you can also use this for laundry. You can also use this to clean floors. You can use it to clean carpet. You can use it to clean vinyl. I also have a soap, like hand soap. You can use it to make hand soap. You can, it also comes with a bathroom cleaner bottle, so it just has a little bit more concentrate in it. But something like Branch Basics, this is obviously environmentally friendly, but also very good for you and your health, and doesn't have any nasty chemicals, and does an amazing job of cleaning. For laundry, so I could use that for laundry, but I'm actually using this from Thrive Market, just their unscented laundry powder. Love Thrive Market too. Their website, not only for food, but for home supplies, makeup. Another thing that I just recently got was a new water filter. It's called Epic Water. I wasn't even thinking about like the water that I drink every day, which is crazy. I don't know why this never occurred to me. But I was reading an article about thyroid health, and something I had never heard before is that fluoride interacts or like blocks iodine from making your thyroid hormones. So I was like, oh, okay. And most water is treated with fluoride. Anyway, the filter that we had, I won't say what it is, but it's a very common household water filter pitcher, did not filter fluoride. So I quickly found one that did, and yeah. Nursing and life. Okay, first question, what about full-time as a nurse in the hospital while you finish the NP portion? Let me give some context. I'm almost done with this semester. So I'm basically one semester away from graduating with my master's of nursing, and I'll be eligible to take my family nurse practitioner boards once I'm done. The program that I'm in is a graduate entry program. First year and a half, you get your RN. The second year and a half, you get your master's, and you really dive into your nurse practitioner specialty. So obviously, once you get your RN, you can work as a nurse. I got my RN at the end of January 2020 and working as a health coach at the time. And I really love health coaching. Like, I love it. It's really probably my passion. It's something that I'm always going to do. I'll talk about that a little bit later. I didn't try to find an RN job right away. I was certainly open to it if it was something that fit with my schedule, with my school schedule that is rapidly changing every semester. And obviously the pandemic happened. I was already working remotely. I was so thankful to have a job. And so I just kind of stayed where I was in health coaching, and I have ever since. And I'm really glad that I stuck with that decision. Now, do people work full-time as nurses when they're in their NP portion? Absolutely, they do. They do. I have friends that do, and I admire them for it. I think that they're amazing people. I think that they're sacrificing a lot right now, and we should be so grateful to them. All nurses, all healthcare workers. I know people that literally do 3 12s of nursing, and then they do 3 12s with their NP preceptor. Is it possible? Yes. Is it something that I wanted for my life? No, because I love health coaching so much, and that's what I wanted to do. So I truly don't think there's a right or wrong answer to that. If the person who asked this question is wondering, like, can you do it? Yes, it is possible. Are there consequences and sacrifices? Absolutely. Can you not work as an RN? Yes, you can. And there are many people that become NPs that haven't worked as an RN. So there's time for some life updates in general. So someone asked, are you still alive? If so, how? That's my friend from nursing school. Someone asked just generally, how are you doing? And someone asked, how are you holding up during this crazy year? Thanks for being such a sweet, genuine person. Oh, that's very sweet. Just in general, how I'm doing. So like I said before, I am nearing the tail end of my nursing school program. Right now, I have class, our class is virtual via Zoom on Tuesdays. We're still going through content. This semester was really focused on women's health, pediatrics, some men's health we're diving into now. I am in my clinical at a doctor's office basically every Thursday and Friday, sometimes other days of the week. That's kind of my routine. And then any day that I'm not in class or clinical, I'm working remotely as a health coach. So including Saturday and Sunday. So right now I technically don't have days off. I have hours, like chunks of time that are like off, which is nice. That's as far as like what's going on with school, but like in general, how I'm doing, I feel like my mental health is in a much better place than it's ever been, surprisingly. Like, but I think that's because I've done the work. I continue to do the work, and I continue to be open to how I can improve on my anxiety. I can't tell you how much more creative I am, how much happier I am, how much more aligned with myself I feel when I spend less time on social media. It's just something I'm like playing around with right now. I'm very indifferent with its necessity, but here I am on YouTube, so there's that. Yeah, life is good. Jack, my husband, is good. He's working. The dogs are good. Like, the best part of my day is taking them on walks, and I get to do that every day, which I'm so grateful for. One thing that I've reflected on a lot and I've been thinking about is just, you know, obviously I'm going through a huge transition professionally, going from, you know, being a psych major and a counselor to a health coach, to a nurse, to now a nurse practitioner. Like, I'm making these leaps, these professional leaps over the past decade of my life. I'm 30 now. I, you know, started college at 18. So over more than a decade of my life, I've been just constantly learning and constantly not being like a master at my craft, if that makes sense. Like, I think that's the source of a lot of my anxiety, because I am such a perfectionist, but then I've also been constantly learning new skills and new trades, which I can never be perfect at. It's just culminated in a decade of like feeling like I've not lived up to anything because I haven't mastered anything yet. And I've just been learning all these new professional roles to hopefully eventually master something. But coupled with that, once I got into clinicals, you know, my NP clinicals, realizing that maybe not realizing isn't the right word, but this is going to be really honest. Questioning whether or not this was the right decision, questioning whether or not I want to do this job as an NP, questioning if I can, questioning what it will do to my life, my stress, like so many questions, like, holy, what did I do? Now I have all these loans. OMG, like, you know, my mind spins if I really let it. I'm almost more scared to graduate than I am excited, because it means that, you know, the pressure would be on then to find something. Something I'm really, really focused on right now is having awareness of what I really want out of a job and out of a career. I love being at home. I am a homebody, really looking into careers that might allow me to be home more. Those might be harder to find. Maybe, you know, other healthcare professionals would think less of me that I, you know, don't want to dive into like traditional clinical practice. I hope I'm making some kind of sense. Like, I just want to be honest with myself this time around when I go to find a job, and not just take something to take something, because I have more value than that. My job might not be family nurse practitioner. My job could be nursing work. It could be to continue health coaching. I don't know what that looks like. So I'm really just trying to get comfortable with not knowing right now and not having a plan, but having a plan for sticking to my values. I really want to like find my niche and find my specialty and help people and stay committed to wellness and stay committed to the values that I preach about, like having good work-life balance, being able to cook my own meals, like being able to get outside every day for a walk. I want a career that allows me to do all that, and I don't think that's too much to ask for. There's a really great podcast, especially for nurses, called Nurse Becoming. Just hearing all the different ways that nurses have forged non-traditional paths with their nursing skills and with their nursing education is so inspiring. It helps remind me that there is no right way to do nursing. There is no right path. There's no better path. There's just your path and my path. And that's really all that matters. So I highly recommend that podcast if you are a nursing student, a nurse, a nurse practitioner student, nurse becoming podcast. That's a little life update, career counseling rant that I just gave myself and to you now. If you like these life updates, you like hearing what I'm doing, definitely make sure that you subscribe to my newsletter. I'll leave a link to that down below. I send it like about every other week, and at the end of it, there's always a little life update that I don't share anywhere else other than in my newsletter. And I also share women's health tips, some recipes, and what I'm listening to. So definitely check out my newsletter if you haven't already. Check out my new blog. The link will be down below in the description. You can comment down below if you have more questions for me. I'd be happy to answer them in the comments or an upcoming video. Feel free to share your story. If anything that I shared, was relatable, I'd love to hear your stories. I think they're so helpful for other people. If you guys enjoyed this video, I will see you soon for another one. Bye.